Hi everybody, it's Jackie Smurden in Dunnock Studio, and today we're going to have some fun. It's raining. I thought we might do some lightning. So today's video is about capturing the effects of lightning as inspired by a leisure painter article by Greg Howard, who's a British artist. Who is in the Leisure Painter and Artist magazine for this month. So I thought I'd take the idea of what he was showing us in his paintings and explore with you how you might add lightning to your pictures. So the first thing I did is went and had a look at lightning on my phone just to get a feel for the shape. So we're not doing a big painting, we're just doing an idea. The first thing to note about lightning is if you turn your picture upside down, it looks a bit like a tree, doesn't it? So that's how I'm going to work on this, is assume I'm drawing a tree, and then we'll see what happens. So I'm going to try some different ways. So I've got some masking fluid, and this is the blue stained masking fluid. It's quite old, so it'll be interesting to see how this works. And I have got a ruling pen. You can get these off of Amazon, and if you can see there, you can adjust using this little wheel as to how far apart you want the prongs and how close together you want the prongs, like that. So I'm going to just practice that first. You literally dip it into your masking fluid. Great thing about this is you can't ruin the ruling pen because it's metal, and when you're finished you just wipe it clean. Now this doesn't look great. It's very well, actually better than I thought. It's very thick. Trying to do some jaggedy lines with that as if it's a tree, and then when you turn it up that side, so that's better than I thought. Right, so I'm trying with my pen. It's quite hard to get the effect. Just take the edge off first, then come down the paper, keeping your ruling pen parallel to the paper. Every time I refill it, because it will run out, I just take that thick area off first, work my way down. I don't quite know where this is going to stop. We might end up it going into the sea or something. So a little bit more branching at the bottom, and maybe one running through the middle somehow, like that. Right, that's my masking fluid with the ruling pen done. So all I would do with this, could wash it out, but it makes a mess and it has to go down the drain. So I'm just going to let that dry, and in order for it to dry without ruining anything I put it on, I usually use an old egg box. So you can lay it across like that, or you can just lay it in the back end there, and when you come back to it later, it will be dry and you can just peel off all this lovely stuff. Masking fluid is an acquired taste. Do be warned, if you have a latex allergy, please do not use normal masking fluid because it is made of latex. So going back to the masking fluid, second technique is using a masking fluid brush. Now this is an interesting one because masking fluid brush is supposed to not be damaged by masking fluid, because the one thing you will always hear from artists is never ever ever use your watercolour brushes for your masking fluid because you will ruin them immediately. So all I'm doing is dropping that into some water. Then I've got a bar of soap, good old-fashioned bar of soap. I'm rolling my masking fluid brush that's damp into the soap first. That would hopefully protect my brush against the masking fluid itself. This is a medium-sized one, so I've just picked up the first one to hand. Dip it in the top, and then I'm holding it quite loose at the top here in order to try and get a random shape. I haven't got my phone picture open, I'm just going to go where the marks take me. Don't worry if the marks aren't all in a solid line, it's sometimes better if you don't do that. Try and sort of imagine how the lightning would move. If you've got a wobbly hand, all the better. You're more likely to get some interesting marks. If you accidentally drop this in a big blob, do not worry, because when it dries, you just pull it off. I've got some quite wide marks there, so I'm not sure how that's going to look. Let's have one coming through the middle. A couple of branchy ones here. Oops. So this is just normal practice paper, cold press practice paper. And that's probably me done with that one. So now I've got to this stage, if I let that dry, absolutely will ruin that brush, and I've ruined many just because they got left on the side. So that one is going to go into a pot of water, but not this pot, because this is my painting pot and I don't want to ruin the paintbrush that's going to go in there as well. So I shall just pause and go and get this clean immediately. A couple of minutes later, that's now nice and clean, and I'm happy that it's not going to dry solid. All I did is wipe it with a piece of paper towel and washed it in clean water. I didn't even need to use any soap on that because the soap was already in the brush, and it's perfectly okay to be used again. So phew, I didn't ruin my masking fluid brush. So last one I've got, this is an old bottle, SAA, which is now Cass Art Fine Liner masking fluid. So how does this work? So it's got this tiny little pin there, can you see that? So when you finish, you have to put that back into there. It's like threading the eye of a needle. It's great fun, not. So this one is slightly different in that if you do like this, and I've done this many times, whoop, there it goes, it comes out in a big blob. The trick is to get it to flow and then just move in the bottle with virtually no pressure. So you can't very well see that, so trust me, it's on there. So I'm going to just try and see how this works. So once I get it to flow, again, if it stops flowing, don't worry about it. I actually have recently blocked this tube up, and I took the whole thing apart and actually managed to get it working again, because I love this bottle so much. Because bizarrely, even though it's got such a tiny entrance hole for this masking fluid to come out, it's the one bottle that's lasted longer than all those tubs put together. It's definitely not as good as it was before, but can you see how it's given me much more control over where these lines go? They're so tiny, I'm not even sure I'm getting the fluid out of here. Apologies if you can't see this very well. It's a little bit big there, but let's just go with it. So I've got much more control over this. Let's go back to my practice piece again. If you're getting stuck, just use your practice paper. There you go, let's have a couple of bits coming off the side. Nice jaggedy marks. Imagine it's an upside down tree. Of course, this one means you've got to go and buy a specific piece of equipment, but if you fancy putting lightning in your pictures, well, when we see at the end how well they all work. So I'm cleaning that tube, and then for the purposes of really boring YouTube videos, I'm going to try and show you the trick at the end is to get that right in there, and then you're protecting all of that what is in there, because you never take this off, so the air doesn't really get in here. So this has lasted me for absolutely ages, and it hasn't gone thick and gloopy, so it's a good one. It is a good one. So here we go. I've got 3 different areas of potential lightning. I know you can't see them very well, but do bear with. So if I wanted to put a C or something across the bottom here, how would I do that? Well, I've just been using this, so I'll tell you what, get that tub again, the lovely stuff that we really don't like, put that on my towel, and I'm just going to run along the bottom here. No idea what this will do, but I feel like we need to suggest there's something here. Whoops. Look at that. There we go. Just a bit of a scruffy bit of masking fluid on here. Just pull that off again. So we might suggest there's something down here. Who knows what that's going to look like at the end. Okay, so this stuff has got to dry. This stuff has got to go straight in the bin before I put it down and ruin something. So I'm just going to pause the video for a moment. But just before I do that, she says carefully putting her paper somewhere safe. Here's a brush I'm going to use. It's a Rosa synthetic brush from the Ukraine, and it's solid. That's because it's new. It's got this protective coat on it, so all I need to do is give it a little wash in here. Nice clean water, and once you've washed the gum arabic off of it, it's then soft. So if you ever open a brush and it's solid, you don't know what to do with it, just give it a gentle wash before you use it. Right, we'll let that dry and I'll be back in a moment. A little bit later now, and the only way to tell if this is dry is to press your finger on it. If nothing comes off, it'll always feel a bit tacky. Now I've got a sponge, and I'm just going to use my clean water here and just gently dampen over the first one here. I haven't taped this down properly. This is just a little exercise. I've used washi tape because it was to hand. And I've got a black, a dark blue and a brown that were just sitting in my palette. So I'm just going to throw them on randomly, see what happens. So lightning, going back to the lovely reference article which inspired this. If you look at this corner here, the lightning isn't actually against a really, really dark sky, but it is enough for it to show up. So let's just have a go. So it's coming off because it's washi tape, that's why I don't normally use it. So let's have a look at the colours. So for this first one, let's have some of this, just a gunky brown, sepia I think that's called. So because I put it onto dry paper, it sort of sits quite heavily there. Now in order to get your paint to move, just try resting your board up on an angle. I've just rested mine on the edge of my egg box, which was quite handily in the right place. And I'll just drop some sepia on here. I've got a little bit of movement there, but go back to my trusty spray bottle. Any spray bottle will do, but I do like the Derwent one. If nothing's moving, you can spray, and you can use big ones as well, whatever you've got. If you've got a room sprayer, you'll suddenly get a little bit of movement. So I'm going to just add some more paint. This is black now going on top of the sepia, and it will buckle because I haven't got this properly stretched or taped down. And as it comes down, I'm just going to lead it with the brush that's damp, take it down. Not going to add any more paint. It's an interesting colour combo, isn't it? Black and brown. Now am I going to do anything different in the low area? It's not necessarily sea, it's not necessarily land, it's just stuff. So I might just pop a bit of more black over this bit because that's already in my picture. Maybe add a little bit of brown. And you can always pick, I'm on a board here, you can always pick your board up and put it at an angle and see if anything starts to move. Once you've got your paint on, as long as your paper's still damp, you can add thicker paint quite happily. If you start adding really watery paint on there, you'll end up with some back runs very quickly. So if you don't want back runs, try and remember just to put your next layer on has got to be a little bit thicker. And then if it stops moving again, just encourage it. Get some nice effects that way. Nothing to stop you popping your brush in there and just adding it like that. You will get drips, just keep an eye on them. It's gone into my background, sorry, my foreground bottom area, but that's fine. Can you see how it's all moving down the page? So that's probably enough for that one. Gets to a point where you've got something on there, just stop. Very moody, isn't it? Right, clean your brush. Not that it matters too much because we're using similar colours. So this one I'm going to start with my dark blue. Before that I'm going to get my sponge again. Now I've got dirty water here. Now I wouldn't normally do this, but because we're putting similar colours on, I'm just going to go for it. You can't really see the water on there, so the water isn't so dirty that you really can't use it, but I'd recommend you having a separate pot of clean water. So make sure it's damp all the way along. Then let's pop this blue on. Oh, don't know quite which blue this is. It's definitely a cool greeny blue. Take that down even further, put some stronger at the top. Then I might add a little bit of the brown to this one. Bring that down here, it's making a beautiful grey already. Don't you just love colour? Where else can you have so much fun with two marks of colour that blend and do all sorts of wonderful things? It's amazing. Straight across that one, pop some more blue on, a bit stronger here. So I've got a sort of white area here which is not quite working, so here comes the trusty spray bottle and my tilt, and let's see what happens. Sometimes it's just worth waiting to see if it can do its own thing. If some things are just not going, you can just give them a little tweak. This is a lot of lightning in here, so you might want to add a bit more dark. Again, go back to your thicker colours. Try and put thicker colour in as this is moving. I've got a little, gets stuck here because of the way that this is blocked this whole area off. It's quite interesting colours there. It's like a dirty iceberg. Not that I've ever painted an iceberg. There we go. Just try and encourage that through that little gap there. As you can see, this is not an exact science. It's all about having some fun, seeing what you can find out with your paints. Can you see I've got a blob here? So just use my towel to soak the water out of my brush, creating what we call a thirsty brush, and you can take that out. There we go. Probably it doesn't matter too much. So this is like going straight down, so I might want to just tilt it slightly sideways, or I might want to go that way. but it's already getting to the point it's slowing down. The movement is slowing because this is very absorbent paper, so there's not much more happening. So at that point, just leave it alone. Getting some interesting effects here. Right, on to the last one. Down we go. You can do this with a brush, you don't need a sponge. You can throw it on, you can spray it on if you like, and then just blend it in with the brush slightly. So, let's see now, do I want, oh I know. I'm going to put my blue. And this time, so last time we had blue and brown, so this time we'll have blue and the black. So picking up my blues, look at them go. Blue is lovely because you get more granulation, you do with black as well. So now I'm going to pick up some black, nice rich black. No idea which black this is, it's on my palette, so we'll just make do with that. So, I'm one of those, I am an artist who hates wasting things, and when I've got a workshop, obviously learners are practicing and they put out too much paint. Of course they do, I do as well. But then it doesn't matter, you have to learn by enjoying yourself. And good guidance is put out sort of half of a pea if you're doing very small paintings. If you're doing bigger paintings, then put out a pea size for your paints, apart from any red, because you just don't need very much in the way of red. So if you put out a whole pea, it probably lasts you 6 months on your palette. So there we go, now let's get that moving, up it goes. So these ones are now starting to dry, so even if I do this, they don't move at all now. So which way should we go? This way? Got lots of granulation. See how there's nothing here? So just see what moves and then use your brush to maneuver it over there. Just again, just so it's not stark white. We don't want the white to be anywhere but. Of course you could also go this way. Again, you've just got to watch out for these runs that collect on the edge of your paper. You can get rid of them with a brush. You can get rid of them by wiping down the side. It's easy with tape. It's already starting to slow down its movement. Got a nice edge coming down here, that's moving. These ones are trapped, so a little bit of help here needed. Mopping as you go. Just taking that one back slightly so it sort of blends into these. And take that off to the side. And slowing down, so I'm going to pop it down again. I am going to keep them on a slight angle just to see what happens. You can already see the lightning, can't you? Even though I haven't taken the masking fluid off yet. Interesting technique. So quick wash on my brush just while that's just drying. Just pop that to one side. Just want to show you my brand new water pot. So my daughter and I did a pottery class, and I didn't know what to do in 2 hours because it was just a one-off. I am not a potter, so you can buy these water pots that stop your brush rolling off, which is great when you're at the kitchen table and you don't want to ruin everything. So I was sat there and I think, well, hang on a minute, why don't I do a pot that's got ridges and edges? And so I did. It's a coil pot where you coil around and around. I had no idea how it's going to turn out, but I tried to make it so you could fit, 3 brushes on. That's not it, there we go. I don't think I did a bad job. So if any of you are doing a pottery course, I suggest that if you don't know what to make and you've made enough mugs to last a lifetime, try making your own paint pot. It doesn't matter how wobbly it is, it does a good job. Right, so these are now going to settle, I'm not going to get the hairdryer on them straight away. I will have to, just to speed the last little bit up, but I am going to let them settle as much as I can naturally to allow the paint to sink in, create all sorts of interesting patterns, and then I'll finish them with hairdryer, purely because I'm doing a YouTube video for you, so I just need to make sure it doesn't take all day. Once that's done, we'll come back and I'll show you the next step. They're now dry and I need to get this masking fluid off. First of all, just to note, we've got back runs here where the water pooled against this tape, and then as this dried, the wet bead of water pushed back into it. Same here. And then something slightly different here where I wiped down, you've got this pale area here. So it shows you that if you've got a puddle of water, it may do something like this. If you touch and fiddle with things, it may leave marks. None of that matters because we're just playing. I like back runs, so to me I could incorporate this as foliage, almost like hedgerows and shrubs in the foreground here with whatever's behind. But if you don't like back runs, that's just something to note, is always keep that bead clean at the end, keep wiping it away, otherwise it will go back up. So to take this off, you can just use your finger and you just gently rub along, feeling your way, and it's quite easy. It's quite a nice therapeutic thing to do. I'm right-handed, but I thought I'd test myself. Like so, down to the whatever this is. Quite liking the smoky effect there. And then this area here is quite big, so if you're doing a lot of this, you could really start to feel it on your fingers. So you can get these maskaways, also known as rubber cement. You just very gently use the corner of them to feel your way across the fluid, and it balls up and comes off. Now, if you do this very hard and you've got if you've got thin paper, be warned, it can tear your paper. Masking fluid can tear any paper. It's just one of those risks you take. So let's pop that off there. But I end up always using my fingers to finish, because this, you can't feel what's left on there, so you end up doing this anyway. Just depends how tough your fingers are as to how much of it you do. So that's the first one. So this one looks like it's almost already done. It's going to be fascinating. Let's use the mask away. If you follow the line, you tend to roll the masking fluid up as you go, which is a nice easy way to get it off without tearing. If you get hold of a bit like that and pull, and you've got a lot of masking fluid, you can end up tearing the paper with it. So just bear in mind, go slowly, right down to the bottom. So I'm right at the bottom now, so I'll start coming across. Ooh, that was quite a thick piece of masking fluid there when I put it on with the towel. Anybody else see a boat there? Is it just me? I do love painting what you see. That one's done. And then go down here. Oh, this is looking good. Got to be careful, this is so fine. I really didn't expect these to work, if I'm honest, but they absolutely have. That's nice. Again, a very, very thick area masking fluid here, so just be careful. Some people advise you don't leave masking fluid on for longer than a week. I would say longer than a day, and that's probably it. The longer you leave it, the more it sticks, the harder it is to get off, the more likely it is to ruin your paper. So there we go. So we've got those three. We started off with the ruling pen, which is this one, went on to a medium size SAA masking fluid brush, which is this one, and then we used our fine liner for this one. So that's definitely got more detail and more control. However, it doesn't mean to say it's the best or the worst. All of these look slightly different. I've done different mixes of the 3 colours, so you might prefer one to another. But all of them have a problem, is that this is too bright, because we don't want this to be the focus, so we could just obliterate those. And do you know what? That's the greatest thing about watercolour, is that you can literally just go like that and like that. And you can't do this on a canvas. It's very hard. You can't cut your canvas down without popping your canvas back on new hangers. But you can with paper, you can cut it. So don't be afraid to get rid of it that way. But I've got paint, so what I thought we'd do, the first one I did had blue in it. So I'm not going to put really thick paint on, but I'm going to do a wash across this area in blue. You can let it skip a bit if you like, a little bit of dry brushing, and just take it all the way to the bottom, just up to there, a little bit of a line there, but never mind. So that's a bit better. Whatever it is, could be anything. I'm not pretending it's a thing. And this one has got a very distinct shape, so I'm in 2 minds about this one. I'll come back to that in a minute. This one again is blue. So let's go through, let's see if we can do dry brush. So there's my blue on brush. Keep going across. Last time I did this on a video, it failed miserably. Right, let's try it. It's not very rough, this paper, so, oh, there we go. Get the idea. Keep your brush parallel to the paper. Don't overdo this, but get the worst off first. So easy to get this over painted, but this is looking quite nice. So I'm not sure what happened there. Never mind. Nobody panic. What's the worst that can happen? You ruin a piece of paper. Guess what? You can do another one. There we go. I watched a really good YouTube video a while back that I can't remember the name of the YouTuber, but they were informing us that there's no such thing as the art police. They are not looking over your shoulder, checking if you've got it right or wrong. So ignore the art police and just do what you want. And I thought it was really quite good advice. So my art police would have a field day because it's gone terribly wrong up there. But you know what? There's no such thing as getting it wrong, just happy accidents. Because now my happy accident means that my lightning is hitting in the middle of the sea coming towards me instead of being right in the distance. So I like that. Don't touch it, Jackie. Stop fiddling. My best friends know how to tell me, stop fiddling. What should we do with this one? Okay. Again, not changing the colours. Just bear with me on this. So, what would it look like? I've no idea about boats. I think I did a video recently. And boats, me, no idea. Let's just make it up, shall we? Let's get some blocks of colour. There is apparently lightning here, so if you've got too much paint on your brush, use a cloth. So let's have a little bit of line here. Oh, I've seen another one. And I'm going to add black because this one is upside down here. Paint what you see, guys. It's so much fun. Is that a keel or something? Or is that too much information? Don't know. Let's put one in. Okay, don't know what that is. Now when you do something like this, taking all pressure off yourself because you just saw something in your picture. and you just thought you'd just try and see if it would come out for you. And this is what I'm now doing. I'm keeping some light edges. I might put some dark down this side here. And just negatively paint around this one. Don't know what that is, so let's just make it into a thing. Give it a little bit of a side. It's a little bit too obviously solid there, so let's just break that up a little bit. I think the lightning's hitting a boat. That's probably because I've got all this growth here, these foliage that came out of my runbacks. This may be some beached boats that are up in the grassy marshes, and they're just sitting there whilst the lightning is dancing all around them. And don't overdo this. I'm not going to touch that because that is quite nice as it is. I will get rid of that white area there, and maybe that one there. And I think that you may not agree with me because you probably made your mind up a while ago, but I'm going to get rid of that. So the lightning's now behind my boat. Because these are beached boats, I need to put some grass on to suggest that it's not in the sea. Right, there you go. You didn't expect a tutorial on boats, did you? Sometimes that happens, and if you see something in your painting, go for it. Have some fun. Right, got to let that dry and stop fiddling. I hope you enjoyed that, playing around with some masking fluid to create lightning effects. I enjoyed it. We started off with a ruling pen, which is currently still drying. Here, once it's dry, I might be able to do it now. See, all the stuff is in there. You just literally start pulling it off, and to open that up to get in there. Starting to come out. You see how to clean it? Just keep going till that's all gone. Easy peasy to clean that. The second one was a masking fluid brush, which is a SAA medium. Cassart may still sell them, which you have to just be careful not to leave it clogged up. Not as easy to control, but quite a nice bright lightning effect. And the third one was our fine liner. But you might have done all of these and failed miserably to get any lightning. Well, I'd like to tell you that you can cheat. You can add it on afterwards. So if you really did struggle with that, and you just so happen to have a white pen of some sort, again, try and hold it lightly. I'm just going to try it on this one. I don't want to overdo it, but you can just start by adding some lines in. So just because you could not manage any of this, maybe you haven't got any masking fluid, maybe it didn't work, never worry about adding something else on top. That's what art is all about, and then you can call yourself a mixed media artist. Good job, everybody. So there's my first one. I really like my sky. That's sepia, that colour, but any sort of brown, and there's some blue in there as well. Again, sepia at the corner on the top here, the blue mixed in with this one, and then just out of nowhere appeared two beached boats. There we go. And the third one, much more control, blue and black, this one. Again, you've got that lovely granulation effect that you can just about see running down there. It's a good way to play with your watercolours. And I like this one because I like the way that I went way too high with my glazed blue on top, but it ended up pushing the lightning into the middle. It's coming forward, it's not on the horizon. This one's coming down behind the boat, and this one's way in the distance. So I hope that was useful. As I say, it was inspired by Leisure Painter and Artist magazine this month in the UK. But have a go, see if you can incorporate lightning into any of your pictures, and then use those lines in other ways. You could add lines to all sorts of things, like a fence or a washing line or something. Have a go at making curly lines and different shapes, and then put some lovely colours behind them. And if you're lucky, something else will pop out and you'll end up making a painting out of nothing, which is definitely the best way to paint. Thanks for joining me again in Dunnock Studio on a very wet, rainy bank holiday in the UK. I hope you enjoyed that and got something from it. If you'd like to like and subscribe, that would help my channel. And any comments, please pop below, and any questions, let me know, because I'm always happy to answer them for you and make this community as good as we can do. I do like YouTube, there's so much you can do. My website's up here, so you can go and have a look at the sort of things I do. If you can't get to my workshops, then this is the best place to be. So thanks so much for coming along, happy painting, and see you soon. Bye for now.